we have got our first draft of the day. Our opening series, of course, is going to be DeMu versus Louis. Now, Crackedy, this one's really important, right?
Yeah, this one is incredibly important. We're looking at DeMu right now. He's at spot number 5 in his own group, in Group A. Louis on spot number 2. Like, DeMu needs to be at least spot number 4 in order to make it through to the playoffs. So this already is going to really be really important for him. He has another set today versus Puppy Paw, but I think if he just even loses a single set today, he probably doesn't have a chance anymore to make it into the playoffs. So this is going to be incredibly important for DeMu today.
Yeah, we have a few series like that, right? Like the beat Anna Tand one later as well is definitive. It feels like if Anna gets the win there, it feels like no one can knock him off of making it to the playoffs. Just a reminder of the playoffs format, by the way, for anyone's like, Marine Lord will just phone in his series later. It doesn't matter. It does matter. Okay, the difference between first and second is actually quite big because of the bracket formation we're using. If you top your group, you will finish in the top 4 guaranteed. So that's the way we've staggered it out. So actually, 1 through 4 matters a lot because you're going to save yourself basically a whole series to have to run through. But these two, kind of different stories. Louis looking to knock Marine Lord off that top block. We'll see if he can do that later on because he also has the Marine Lord versus Louis series, which will be the definitive one. I think for me, that's going to be one of the most interesting series of the day. I know people are hyping up like BC versus Lucifron or B versus Anatan, which I'm sure is going to be wild. But for me, the series I'm calling Sakura Bluey is the most important because that one is going to show whether the old dog has some new tricks or the new kid on the block is going to be unstoppable. But speaking of which, we have a similar situation here. LoueMT versus DeMu, the young versus the old. Is it time to put Team Liquid's boy in his retirement home? Can Team Elephant show us just how strong their members are? We hop into the first game of this best of 3. And this one, Crackedy, I think you'll agree is a fun one. You see Chinese, you see Byzantine, you see a map where getting TCs isn't easy. So we're going to have to get creative.
Yeah, I mean, this is already really exciting. We're seeing DeMu picking the Byzantines, one of these civilizations that previously so far in this tournament is probably one of the rarest occurrences together with Abbasid, like one of the rarest civilizations that is getting picked. And Byzantines, on paper, I like it a lot here because Byzantines, they have an incredibly strong 1TC play ahead of them. I say incredibly strong on paper because other civilizations have an even stronger 1TC play, but Byzantine's definitely nothing to sneeze at. If there is a map where you can't easily go 2TC, Byzantines tends to have a really good time at being able to mass units through the mercenary system. And especially on a map like this, like you have the berries here in the back for DeMu, very good spot for Grand Winery. Additional berries are the top side, and then one very far back in the corner that is also relatively easy to wall, it looks like, with the way that the woodlines have spawned here. So chances are we're going to be seeing a lot of mercenaries here in this one.
Yeah, and also you can easily skewer the deer. So there's a lot of extra food to go, which is important because you mentioned mercs, but as this game goes deeper, as this weird kind of race, right? One side wants to get Path Guard together. The other, actually, funnily enough, wants to spam Varangian guards up the wazoo. Both of them is going to require gold, and I've got to say both of them were at least beneficial, those gold spawns. In fact, Louis, especially if you can guard it, basically has got enough gold here to rival the Malians. The interesting thing as well that I've noticed in this map, Chinese, I wouldn't put them as a top tier pick. I don't know if you feel this way as well. I feel like they're not quite top 4, but they're just below that rung. And one of the big reasons is the barbican play that often secures the boar and berries or deer and berries.
Yeah, food control definitely really important on a map like this where you're already a little bit, I want to say like, restricted when it comes to space out on the map. We take a look at the left-hand side and there's a big portion of the map that's just been carved out by the cliff and the water. So that's completely inaccessible for players. There's fish there, but don't worry, players won't have access to that fish at all. It's completely like cut off from the rest of the map. So big farm transitions already take up a lot of space, especially for the Chinese. But they always have that window, right? Like on this map as well, you don't have a close gold spawn, so 2TC typically isn't seen early on in a game on this map at all. But China can still scale their villager production with the Song Dynasty, so that part is definitely something that favors China on this map. So due to the recent siege changes that we had, the Nest of Bees with the Clock Tower, probably by far the strongest siege weapon. Well, not by far. I want to say like Ottomans always have a leg up on that when it comes to siege, but Nest of Bee, probably one of the strongest siege weapons in the game right now in Castle Age.
alongside, you know, the Mangonel Towers. I'm just going to throw that one in there. I think you can appreciate the power of that defense. Pretty ridiculous how effective they can be. Not sure if it's going to get that bogged down, right? Like, I think usually the person who's going to rely on more stacked defenses, let's say, is the Chinese here. Byzantine players in this matchup seem to be the tempo setter from what I've been noticing, right? They're the ones that get those mercs you talk about. They're the ones that force a reaction. They try to shut down the feed quickly. So this, to me, at least from what I've been seeing so far in this matchup, usually turns into a game of attacking defense.
I want to shout out quickly Louis' build here. I think this is a very interesting one because he didn't actually open up with an Imperial Official. Instead, what he did was he rushed up his Imperial Academy and then gets the Imperial Official out with a discount. Recently, the Imperial Official has received a discount for the Chinese from the Imperial Academy. You pay 30% less on that one. So Louis, instead of having that Imperial Official early, getting the early 20% additional resources, he chose to not invest into that. He also didn't go for an opening with a village here, instead opting for a house. I know I talked with Sass a little bit about this build, about this potential for the Chinese. I haven't actually seen it played at high level yet, so this is interesting to me.
It's interesting as well, because like if you think about it, oh wow, you save 45 resources to get that extra IO, but you've just missed out on the extra 20% drop-off. That's a really kind of thin way of looking at it. You have to think of the other way, right? Which is that you've missed out on an extra villager if you pump that IO. So at this stage, like 4 minutes in the game, you've missed out on an extra 180 resources, roughly. So it does make a lot of sense. Quite creative. And also now he has time for the Barbican still if he wants to try and secure some of that food. I'm expecting it here. Sheep Hall looks to be kind of it's all right. I think he's got about like 8 or 9 here. Interesting details. Louis didn't even bother to set up a mill on the berries. Instead, it looked like he wanted to minimize walking time between the gold and the food.
I think it's more about optimizing it and having all the drop-off buildings be in range of the Imperial Academy. If he went for the mill on the berries, then he would not have been in a position to have the Imperial Academy in range of the gold. Then again, my personal opinion is that berries and woodlines matter much more for an Imperial Academy, just because there's so much more resource to be gathered from. So a lot more taxes to be harnessed in the end.
Oh, this is sick. He wants that extra tax for good reason. We're not getting Song Nickel. Okay, ignore me. He was over macroing a bit, dude. I was like, no way is he gonna go for fast castle. No, instead it's gonna be your favorite thing, Crackedy.
Yeah. And it's in a position to take the board then as well from DeMu.
Dude, are you kidding me? So this is wild. I don't know about you. I expected him to maybe get the wheelbarrow first. I wonder if that would have been feasible with this build, because it feels like he could have been here a bit quicker with the extra resources he was stockpiling, right?
Yeah, he definitely could have been quicker, but 8 villagers means that this is going to be incredibly tough already to deny. And look at that, Louis uses his own scout now to make the boar chase his scout. So that boar is not going to be denying the Barbican, and Louis, he's going to find himself with a great source of food here, with the Barbican protecting the boar. At the same time, DeMu, he did opt for the Western mercenary contract here, so is going to be getting those longbows out. Some limit name also already in queue. And I like this build a lot, especially against the Byzantines, mainly because if the Byzantines want to now move out on the map, or rather at least if they want to contest the Barbican, they're going to have to make rams, and rams for the Byzantines, they're a little bit expensive.
Not just a little bit expensive, a little bit underwhelming when it comes to their durability as well, right? Like, rams all around got their health decreased, but the biggest ones stung by that were, of course, the Carrier Siphons that have even less health because they started with less. And now, as you alluded to, while typical rams are cheaper, 200 wood, you now still have to pay the extra 100 gold with those Carrier Siphons. So pretty rough affair, especially considering how bulky that Barbican is. And the thing I like about this play from Louis is because of this positioning, it makes it very unlikely that you're now going to see DeMu try to run across the map and strike at his opponent's eco. He needs to try and find a way of hammering at the boar. But instead, wait, is DeMu literally going to steal the enemy boar?
He's moving up with 7 villagers. I'm wondering if that's just going to be for an outpost. It is going to be for an outpost, and look at that. DeMu, with all the passive stone income that he's getting from making his buildings as a Byzantines, already has enough stone now in order to be able to afford the arrow slits. So that boar is going to get denied. And now Louis, he's going to have to re-macro a little bit inside of his base, because now he's going to be missing out on the guaranteed food that he thought would be available to him.
Okay, good news, we can get wood here. Bad news, we had wood at home. Why the hell did we do this? It's rough because usually this type of Barbican will secure berries and a boar, or boar and a deer. But in this spawn, unfortunately, that wasn't really a golden option for Louis. It would have made him a little bit too exposed, a little bit too close to the base. And now, talking about getting close to that base, DeMu, feeling like he has free access here, gets rid of the scout and looks to hit the eco of Louis. Louis has, however, been building into the Chiganu.
Yeah, not just the Chiganu, we're also seeing horsemen coming out here from Louis, and this is where it gets a little bit weird to me, because sure, the horsemen are going to be great against the Lombos, but the other most, like, despicable spearman unit in the game here that the Byzantines have access to is going to be the LoueMT, and the LoueMT are also really great at soaking up damage from those Chinese Chiganu.
Well, Lombos, before the Chiganu get in range, are going to try to find the high-value targets, but unfortunately, this is a problem. Like, the thing about LoueMT is obviously with the undermesh, with the reduced damage, you're very effective against archers. The Chiganu are a little bit better at paper shredding, at least. I mean, you have to remember, at the end of the day, this is still that frustrating civ that can essentially just one-trick an entire unit comp. But it takes time, and it takes winning these fights. So I'm expecting Horsemen to be added in for at least, like, the next 2 to 3 engagements. Do you expect Louis to kind of shift then into mass Chiganu, if it's possible?
I mean, I want to say, yeah, shift into mass Chiganu definitely got to be an idea here, but I just looked at how little damage those LoueMT took, even before +1 Pierce armor came in, and all I can think about then is, okay, this is going to be really tough. Now, sure, DeMu is going to have a tough time when it comes to spamming out these Lombos. He's going to be constricted when it comes to, okay, how many can he get out? It's all depending on the olive oil. Early on in the game, he only has access to olive oil through those berries. So once the berries are gone, he won't be able to get any olive oil in until he's made a farm transition. Oh, damage. Oh, he has enough here to burn down the outpost. This could be really, really bad for Louis. Outpost is not going to get attacked. The scout at least goes down, so Louis now has the potential to pincer in the army, but that should be at least 5 villagers going down now.
Louis trying to go on a counter-offensive here with the Chiganu around the backside towards the gold of DeMu, but that's going to take a very long time to hit, right? The Lombo's already here. You're already being outed out. There's actually a risk that easily DeMu could just wrap around and block out the wood as well. Luckily, Louis has a lot of that in reserve, but I'm starting to wonder what the hell is that for? Is he seriously considering farms this early?
Could be, but now the Chiganu arrive. Now, the Chiganu, like, running them all the way across the map is always super, super time consuming because they have only 1.12 tiles of movement speed per second. Oh, but he could find some villagers there on the stone from the looks of it. DeMu, though, pulling them over to the other side. Oh, they were just out of the line of sight here from Louis.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, he won't be able to find them.
Okay, that was great instinct by DeMu. We have to remember, he knows he sniped out the scout earlier on, but that is a bold choice to make. I guess the logic, though, is with Wheelbarrow, you can always just keep running away from the Chiganu. Speaking of which, the Chiganu now are once again on the way back. I think DeMu can't quite see them on the edge of the blacksmith range. Dude.
Oh my god.
Are you kidding me?
He's just hovering at the edge of that line of sight from those units, and he gets out there, and he's about to reach Castle Age as well. Almost has the resource. And Louis, he's floating 1,000 wood right now.
Well, I think there's about to be a big fire in his base. I guess you can at least stockpile it there, because he's about to get smoked, right? The LoueMT count, the Lombo count is already looking much more healthy than your own. On top of that, we're going to be moving into Varangian next. He needs to keep this gold idled out, but unfortunately, with the LoueMT able to absorb so much fire, buying time for those Lombos, feels like Louis is going to get paranoid and need to double down on more repeated crossbows, essentially just falling into the trap that DeMu is laying.
DeMu didn't quite have enough gold, though. He was idled off of his gold a little bit, so the timing is delayed for his own Castle Age. But behind that, he did so much damage in the base of Louis that now DeMu, even though he doesn't have that Song Dynasty going for him, even though he doesn't have that Imperial Academy, those cheaper Imperial officials, he's at an eco. Lombos, though, look to be getting cleaned up a little bit there.
Yeah, that was a little bit greedy. It looked like DeMu, he was too aggressive about chasing away the Chiganu, right? Sacrificed LoueMT without extras coming in, which is interesting because he could have afforded to just keep pumping them non-stop with the amount of food income. But last of the gold's coming in. I mean, what we're really seeing shine here is the power of those systems and the extra gathering rate, right? Allowing him to fill these troops. Because we often talk about how you get 20% more of a resource with Chinese IOs. On the other side, we say, oh, but you get 20% more in the form of olive oil. It's quite easy to forget how impactful these system levels can be.
Yeah, 100%, but now DeMu is going up with that Golden Horn Tower, and Golden Horn Tower producing free mercenaries at a rate which almost equals the income from getting, say, like, an extra 10, 11 villagers out there. If you set it up optimally with these cisterns, that's going to be a lot of additional military out on the field for DeMu, and he's going up to Castle Age at a point in time where he's even if not ahead in economy, and also even if not ahead in military. So this is a great spot for DeMu to be in right now.
I feel like Louis just kind of a step behind, right? He started to identify what's really happening here. He hasn't seen a double down in Lombos. He hasn't seen the move out to secure more berries. But now he's kind of stuck in the situation. Do I add in farms because I know I can't get food and gold? Do I now try and tech up myself? It feels like Louis kind of got baited and switched by this block out on the Barbican play and then the deer follow-up, right? Like, he's been starving for the food. Even if he wanted to contest this class stage timing, he simply didn't have the resources. Is at least securing the area now, so we'll have a recovery arc. But no doubt right now, he's a significant margin behind against an opponent who has more force out in the field and now an opportunity to play for those relics.
I think Demu's overstaying his welcome, though, potentially a little bit too much in Louis' base. He's about to find his army probably getting cleaned up before the upgrades come in. Now, with the Cisterns, is of course able to rush up some of these techs for the veterancy, but I don't think it's quite going to be in time. And yeah, LoueMT, they're going to find themselves getting picked off now by the Jugunu. Too much mass there for him. Demu, though, first monk is going to be out in the field, starts to grab the relics. That's going to be the most important thing for him right now, getting those relics, getting that additional olive oil. More villagers going down, though, in the berries.
Freebies and also wasted time, right? Like, Louis is going to eventually clear this up, but DeMu, he gets the upgrade, and more importantly, think about how much time he wasted. Louis sees his opponent tech up. What's he meant to be able to do? Okay, time to bend you over my knee and give you a spanking for that because you were greedy. Nope, didn't get a chance to. His army could not be further away from DeMu's base if it tried.
Yeah, so first relic definitely going to go over to DeMu now, and getting the relics as the Byzantines on 1TC is so important. Getting it up to an additional 240 olive oil per minute just allows you to get so many units out on the field. Getting that big snowball off the longbowman out can be really, really detrimental here for Louis. He's, on the other hand side, though, he's also about to be aging up soon.
The question is whether he's going to have enough food to keep it going long term. I think this is where all that wood has paid off, right? We should be having granaries set up soon at the stage, right? You've got well over 1,000 wood. You have to put it towards something. So that's the one thing that gives Louis hope in this game. I think what he's looking at right now is he's saying, okay, the farm transition, I can rush it with the amount that I've been holding on to. I know you're only really beginning of it, maybe like 8 to 10 groves in. If I outmass you, Palace Guard can easily be the counter to what you're going to do next.
Army just riding past each other. Demu notices first. He's going to be able to grab a couple of kills there on the horseman.
No kill on the wolves,
horseman
though.
run past.
I like how those wolves have been living eternally. Like, from the Barbican play to this right now. These guys love their dogs.
Yeah. I just gotta once again bring importance to that one outpost that Demu put up on the board there. It actually was so crucial for him to get that up. It did not, like, it completely screwed over Louis' macro here throughout the entire early part of the game, I feel like.
And there's no way you could counter it, right? If you try to rush out spears to deny it, the reality is you get it delayed by maybe 10, 15 seconds, but you know there's Lombos coming. It's either Lombo or Jav contract, either one beats Spim in opening. So it felt like Louis was kind of handcuffed at that stage. Moving into the base now. Louis has, of course, completed his tech up, but Demu now gets his turn to apply the pressure. Behind this, remember, he has decent map control. Like, we're realistically looking at a game that could easily turn into a 5-relic scenario for the Byzantines.
Little Ray tries to come in there from Louis' horseman, but the Acrotoy defense on the villagers means that they're going to be equipped with the spears in order to take care of that. And also, Demu, he got the shield upgrade on the Varangian, so they're much faster. Right now, with the shield wall, 1.08 tiles per second of movement speed. Without them, though, 1.44 tiles per second of movement speed. These guys are fast.
And they also take practically no damage, right? Even if they have the shield wall down, they've got +2 ranged armor. These aren't upgraded Shugin. Louis is looking to switch entirely away from them. Yes, the upgrades come through now, but this is all about the Palace Guard timing. The issue is, will you have enough food? First farm cluster is being set up, but unless you're able to get the second one in the next 2 minutes, you're going to start to get outmassed by this Varangian count.
First Nest of Breather is out now for Louis.
It might be going down straight away, though. Varangian chasing on in.
Thank you. It should live. Right?
Right? I mean, there's no crossbows.
Oh, the Jugunu aren't following.
The villagers, they are going to repair this. Funnily enough, the Varangian just turn on the eco. This would be a big win for Demu. The Lombos might still be able to reach in and start cleaning this up.
Maybe he wants to deny Louis wood by having him repair all the time, but no. Yeah, Nesopi is going to stay alive, and Louis should be able to hold this. The issue is, though, this is wave 1. Wave 2 is already in the base of them right now, ready to be deployed.
And not just that, Louis hasn't really got the food to try and keep that meat grinder going, right? Under 100 food income a minute as he's setting up the second farm cluster here. Reminding the people that Song Dynasty might be activated, but this is still a 1 TC game. Louis is by no margin ahead, especially when you consider that DeMu should be up to probably a level 4, if not 5 system now.
Yeah, and at this point in time, the Barbican, it's just a glorified outpost with hand cannon placement on it. It by no means has enough DPS to hold this.
Louis, eco lead basically has been lost here. There's going to be a little raid onto the east side, but that's not going to be effective enough. 1 or 2 horsemen's not going to cut it, and Louis, unless he can somehow find a way to miraculously just drop a giant slab of meat in his base and get 20 plus Palace Guard, it feels like this game is starting to slip in one direction continuously.
At least the granaries are starting to be deployed, so food income should be looking up in a little bit, but the opposite side, DeMu with the olive groves. He's at 700 olive oil per minute right now, KP.
Now, of course, some of that is going to be from the relics, but a lot of that is just from the fact that he's set up groves. I think, what, is he about 20, 24 groves deep at this stage? I know he has, yeah, multiple farm clusters. He's so content. 23 to be exact. So this means he's actually matching the pace of what Louis is doing. And also, 2 granaries, you're kind of getting the same effect, right? 20% more food gathering, but for DeMu, 20% more resource in the form of olives being dropped off.
Yeah, now we're seeing some Landsknechte coming out as well, probably from the Golden Horn Tower. Longbowmen in queue as well. Already 20 longbows out on the field, and longbows, probably by far one of the most effective archer units in the game against the Palace Guards, having +1 damage, pierce damage as an archer against a men-at-arm variant with like -1 pierce armor. Just feels great. A couple of Palace Guards though are going to make their way over to the berries from DeMu. I think Akratoy defense is still on cooldown here. Yeah, DeMu might have to evacuate here. Villagers are going to be on the run.
Now, keep in mind that this is going to do a little bit of damage, but we're about to find Louis trapped into a one-dimensional comp that gets countered easily. This is the power of why you always go Western contract against the Chinese. It's not just the Lomba opener, it's the Landsneck follow-up. If you want to dismantle a Palace Guard mass, there is no better way, because they have to defend the Nest of Bees, right? Like, the entire comp that Chinese run in Castle Age is siege and melee to defend. Landsneck force you to clump up to keep them protected and then punish you for it. So if Louis cannot turn this fight, he's pretty much done by the next wave. And it's looking like he might be done with this one. Nest of Bees holding the choke point. Villagers try and repair, but the Lombo's already diving in. And Louis, without the capabilities to man a serious defense here, it feels like this actually might be the killing blow. Nest of Bees just about staying alive.
And they're into the choke. They're getting repaired. First Nest of Bees, though, going down. Longbowman just on the mission right now to smite more and more of the economy. Gone, 1 remaining. Enemies from DeMu are low, but this is not a type of aggression that's going to end after this wave.
No,
and Louis is weaker for it now.
Exactly, and this is just wave 1 of many to come, right? Like, we talked about that Palace Guard count, critical mass. The walls might go up, sure, but when they do, you're going to be facing off against, what, 20-plus angry Vikings that really want their mead, and for some reason, they seem to believe Louis stole it. So at that stage, you've got a situation where, you know, you're probably going to be matched Palace Guard to Varangian 1-to-1. I just can't really lean in favor of the Palace Guard there, especially when you know that it's not going to be Varangian on their own.
Yeah, Varangian, I mean, on paper, it's a fairly odd matchup, right? Varangian, they attack a little bit quicker with the upgrade. They have +1 damage. They have +1 melee armor. Have a lot less health, though, which is, like, against a unit that has less health here, the Nest of Bees actually do work really well. Like, the Nest of Bees do a lot more damage to the health bar from Varangian guards than... Oh my god, we're getting a second TC here on this map now at this point as well. DeMu, he got the eco lead, but it's not enough. He wants more.
I've seen this from DeMu a lot. Like, he has a very clear, clean style. I honestly, as soon as I saw this matchup, I had a flashback to the Magic DeMu series where we had this exact same draft. He didn't take the same approach because the Chinese blinked first. They tried to go aggro first. But the mid-game has more or less played out the same way, right? He does this 2 TCs. We've even sometimes seen 3 TCs. And then it's just scaling to Landsneck. In fact, you can see he's got 3 groups of 3 queued up. This is going to be the killing blow. Louis now having to sidestep into his second TC would be great if he had another 10 minutes. But look at DeMu's position on the map. I'm not sure he has 5 minutes.
DeMu very soon is also likely to be going up to Imperial Age as well. And if he goes up with the Palatine School, we're just going to be seeing a never-ending swarm of Varangian guards making their way across the map. But now, I don't even think Louis has what it takes to get rid of this wave now.
No, if he survives this, it'll be Foreign Engineering Company, I think, because the Landsneck is really effective, right? Like, it offsets the effect of Palace Guard entirely. I do like the idea of like Palatine School, but I feel like the Lance is basically the only thing needed to stop this entire comp.
Oh,
And I don't think
Nasafi
we're
is
even going to
coming
get there.
out. He's
Yeah,
just
but look at
came
the
out,
farm!
almost dead immediately. Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, at the same time, oh, it's already unsticked over there.
Yeah, they're dead. We're not going to look back there. We're just going to look upon the farms and wait for the point of no return for Louis. Nesta Bees are just about holding on. He's got barely any wood left, though, so keeping them repaired for much longer is not going to be feasible. Lombos are still wrapping around and finding eco kills much easier than the Palace Guard count. A Palace Guard count that is now down to a mere 8. And that will be it. GG gets called. DeMu flexing, looking strong in this opening game. Remember, folks, nothing but will do for him. His tournament life on the line, a chance to make the playoffs will require him to be clean on the execution all day long.
Indeed, man. Byzantines. A Byzantines game coming out here, and DeMu playing it super well against Louis China. And I gotta say, like, Louis China, definitely no joke. I think that's Louis China has probably been like one of his main civilizations back in the day when he was like playing team games, when he was out on the ladder. I saw him play China a lot there. So definitely not not an easy game for DeMu, but the Byzantines here, I feel like perfect draft from DeMu in this matchup, and it worked super well. That one outpost once again on the board, coming in super clutch, just completely ruining Louis' game plan here. I feel like he was just missing out on food so much, not able to get the Judo count out that he wanted, and just being really constricted when it came to his like probably all-in feudal age type game plan.
Yeah, I think the reason why Louis done this before, everyone was like, well, that seemed kind of throwy. Why not just take your own ball, be safe? Because it would have been a similar effect, right? One villager instead of like 7, but you can do the same thing. I imagine Louis reviewed the game on that map between Doom and Magic, where what we saw was a similar idea of the safe bar but can skew your food. And all it meant is that DeMu just aggroes you with longbows from out of range. It's why, like, you know, if it's Chinese and Juji, English is one of the hardest matchups, right? And when you think about it, with the Byzantines essentially play like a discount English, especially in the early game, so it has a similar effect. It does get us deeper in the series, though. We get a moment to quickly talk about the draft. Ottomans, Rus being bound on each side, very expected here. The difference then being in the Mongol Chinese bans, respectively. Those Mongols are already going to be flexed by DeMu, but a tricky matchup, right? Like Louis pulling out Jeanne d'Arc. I feel like this is one of the more comfortable matchups for Jeanne d'Arc.
I'm honestly not sure. Keshiks, I feel like any civilization that has feudal age knights or feudal age-ish kind of knights, definitely can play feudal against Jeanne. It's always so critical taking her down quickly. And especially Mongols, I feel like probably has the tools that are needed in order to do that. We could also be seeing like a really nice early aggression on the gold from Louis, like a Mongol tower rush. I think at the end of the day, though, Jeanne, probably one of the best civilizations to hold against one of those tower rushes. Like, you get the level 2 up, you get the special abilities, you're able to heal up, you're able to consecrate a barracks, get very cheap spearmen out of your own. It's definitely going to be an interesting matchup.
You could even technically contest with Jeanne, right? Like, we don't see it much, but she has 150 HP and she heals, right? So, like, against early spearmen, she's very good at tanking if you want to lead the charge with her. The interesting thing to me here, right, is like, I agree, anytime you're up against a civ that's going to have the heavy cav, that's where you look good, right? Because Hunter form or Women at Arms form, both of them suffer. It's why Ruth do quite well. It's actually why French stands a chance in the mirror, even though a lot of people just think France is the worst Jeanne right now. The interesting thing to me, though, is whenever you look at Mongols, the difference maker is the trade. You know what I'm talking about. These Mongol players, they are filthy, greedy little traders. They love it too much. And I feel like any civ that has to trade against Jeanne can be a liability, right? That's the scary element, is if you get split wide on the map, Jeanne has more opportunities to farm up XP that you are poorly equipped to defend.
Here's actually where I really like the Deer Stones coming into play for the Mongols. Like, having the Deer Stones as an option, especially against a civilization like Jeanne, getting that mobility advantage against a civilization that wants to play aggressive against you, giving you the option of where you want to take the fights, I think helps Mongols a lot in this matchup. Also having the potential of going for a second TC later down the line and having those really fast villagers that at the end with not with textiles, but with wheelbarrow and the Deer Stones with the Yam Aura move at 1.49 tiles per second. And with a little bit of formation shuffling, it's gonna be really tough for knights or horsemen to catch up to them.
And it gives you a better surge point, right? Because instead of scaling an extra element of economy, you're buffing your entire economy in the early game. And I love the fact that, like, what we've seen out of high-level Mongol players more recently is the Deerstone once again being used as an active tool to push across the map. That could be an X factor here. And I think it needs to be because, we're about to see a matchup. DeMu, very crafty, very talented player, no doubt about it. I don't know about you. I've been watching a lot of LoueMT, and if I had to tag one player as the best Jean d'Arc player right now, I give it to him. This guy has been so creative. He's been ahead of the meta. You know how everyone's been doing hunter form? This guy was born in the hunt. He was molded by it. He was doing it months ago when everyone was still swinging their swords around like their little Ned Stark. Let's see who's going to be able to swing the sword. Let's see if DeMu can actually bring this series to a close and get some vital points on the board to keep his tournament dream alive. Or if Louis can begin an upset here and get himself in perfect position to try and still contest the top of his group.
All right, and here we go. Game number 2 in our first set of the day. LoueMT playing as Jean d'Arc versus DeMu in the color purple here as the Mongols. This is going to be very interesting. And yeah, we're here on... Okay, it is so difficult.
Yeah, Rocky River, don't say it. I know you want to.
Not Rocky River, not Dry River. It is Rocky Canyon. Yeah, indeed. Here we go. No fish in these little ponds.
I love how like Biddlin made 2 maps that in some ways were too similar that people got confused. And then like the devs are like, you know what we need? We need to take like both of those, smoosh them together, give them another similar name. Just so that everyone loses their crap. Yeah, reminder, there's no fishies here, all right? No fish at all, but there is trade, and that's usually why Mongols is a high priority pick. Jean d'Arc is a little bit more interesting. I think it's just kind of because it's a little bit like Dry Arabia, right? You use the same mentality here for Jean. And we mentioned this matchup, like, it's, I think, very much going to come down to heavy cav on each side, right? Although Jean can be vulnerable to the Keshiks, we can never discredit the power of the French Knights.
Oh, look at that. Louis scouting. Oh, this could be bad for DeMu.
Oh,
DeMu
God.
didn't see the scout from Louis. He's going to be trailing behind the scout. Oh, my God.
And this is... To say this is bad is an understatement, right? Like, if there's 2 civs in the game that should have an edge when it comes to scanning rotations on equal scout count, it's Mongols and it's going to be the Chinese, right? But to now be completely disadvantaged, that extra movement speed arrow doesn't matter. That Scouting Falcon, I think he didn't even use it, if I'm not mistaken. Like, why would you this early? So, yeah, it's still there, available to him. So he had no way of sniffing this out. And if we check the remaining rotation, Louis... he's going to take a little look towards the trade post and then dip back towards his side of the map. So this is looking like a 2/3, if not more, sheep haul for Louis.
Yeah, this is going to feel really, really rough now for DeMu in this game. And there's still so many more sheep to be gathered over on his side. DeMu, he's now making his way across the map, but at that point in time, Louis will already have gathered up all of these sheep. We do see the first couple of units coming on for the tower rush. And DeMu, it's not going to be the end of the world for him because his TC is right next to a berry patch. Not as efficient as the sheep, not by a long stretch, but this is still going to hurt him a lot. Wait, oh.
Look at the gold location. This is actually a stinger if this one goes up, actually. It's quite frustrating. He does know about it. He has scouted out. I don't think Louis needs to overreact, right? Just grab the last bit of gold and pull away here. And even counts as the mining camp. So a very aggressive outpost from DeMu. Couldn't get close for free chili.
Yeah, that's going to shut down the entire gold. And I really like this position because what's next there? It's also the deer.
Luckily for Louis.
He's got a couple of sheep remaining there that he can have access to.
Yeah, just a few. He's going to head up there now. The funny part is
and the Khan's going the other way.
Oh, I can't say no. Well, it makes sense. I feel so bad for DeMu because when he saw Louis scout again, it was coming from the east, right? So DeMu's very logically saying, okay, well, you scouted your right side because it's a bigger area. It makes sense. That's why I saw your scout so late. So he's just going to run into naked territory. I think he's going to find like one sheep back there, rather. So we're looking at what, like a 6 versus 18 sheep game?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of tough, right? Okay, so DeMu, he's got the 2 live sheep that are following his Khan. Okay, he's going to find a third one. Okay, at least 3 sheep that DeMu's going to find in this game. Which means so that the entire rest of the sheep that are on the map, yeah, we got 11 live sheep here still left over for Louis. That is definitely going to hurt DeMu a lot. Now, I mean, DeMu, he still has the berries right next to his TC, so should be fine, should be fine. There's still a couple of sheep, I think, left here and there. Maybe he could find those. I'm actually surprised that DeMu had still that many like dead sheep remaining under his TC. So
yes.
I'm not sure if maybe he found a couple with the Skur potentially as well. Some Skur scouting could have come in at one point.
There was also one or two sheep that just aren't taken around the ponds in the center. I think Louis and Dumi both missed one or two straggling near one of those little ponds. It's going to be Deer Stone. Okay, so this is a really good sign. I like this. I was worried if we saw Silvertree. I think Silvertree plays into Jeanne d'Arc and what she wants to do. We talked about this idea that if you think about it, whenever you go Silvertree, your idea is to outscale your opponent heavy cavalry and then spread the map. But what you're doing initially is spreading the map before you have all the defenses up, and that plays into Jeanne d'Arc's hand. It gives her a way of finding free XP. This, however, keeps you congested in one location so you can focus on sending everything to the enemy base.
I like this play a lot from Louis right now, going for the 1-1-1 type of production buildings and being able to go for the consecration on your barracks and your stable landmark is going to be super efficient for him to produce a lot of military and then take the fight over to the outpost from DeMu.
And he needs to, because the gold is blocked out, right? So you can't rely on School of Cavalry at all. It can come back in the component of the Horsemen, but you can't get your premium knights. So if you don't have spears, Keshiks will just beat you down. We have got the Women at Arms form. She's on the way already. This is telling us that Louis is looking to end the game in Feudal Age. Louis, if he has any inkling the game's going to go Castle or Imperial Age, he leans more heavily towards Hunter form than any other player at the top of the ladder right now, because of your ability to snipe out Siege later on and also remain a lot safer in those late game fights.
Yeah, DeMu has a lot of stone remaining in bank, could potentially go for double emplacement and then also double produce two batches of archers. And I think then he should be fine to be able to hold in his base. Jeanne, though, she's going to make her way over now, and that could hurt a lot if she gets some good damage in.
Can tank quite a bit as well. It's only archers here with her yet, so you haven't really got the assist to go through the full torch down. Instead, it's going to be a wrap around the back. Archery range is now on the way. Now, another interesting detail is if DeMu can hold quite nicely here, he also has another phenomenal edge, and that's in the blacksmith techs. Louis has no gold access, ergo he cannot get undermesh, he cannot get Steeled Arrow. Steeled Arrow would just break this wide open. Not even the Woman at Arms would feel tanky.
Oh my god, I'm thinking right now, like the arrow slits is going to be coming in for DeMu, and once arrow slits comes in for DeMu on the outpost that he has in Louis' base, unless Louis repositions his waypoints, he's gonna like lose a lot of health on his from his like lightly armored units that are going to be making their way over.
Like trickle rate at this pace, probably each unit going through will take 20 damage, right? So like that's basically going to be almost a third of what archers have. Let's say he's going for the double pump production here. Uvu is being burned down quicker and quicker as we go, as more troops are trickling across. Well, looks like there's some attempts to aggro the Khan away, deal a little bit of damage, but Uvu not going to survive beyond the X2 twice. The question is whether that's going to be enough archers to hold this.
And DeMu, he still has a stone mine behind his wood line, and I mean, just the Uvu going down doesn't actually make the +2 batches of units disappear, or like get transferred into only +1 batches.
Yeah.
So DeMu's still gonna get this batch of +2 archers out there.
And then he also actually has 2 archery ranges here, right? So the one near the TC he could pack up to move across that Uvu. We're probably not going to see it come through too quickly. Whenever you're spamming archers like this, the thing that you don't actually have surplus of is going to be wood. He's holding on to an insane amount of gold, though, which is making me wonder if we're going to be looking at a quick switch into a blacksmith's in the next 20 seconds.
Yeah, I think blacksmith is definitely going to be really important. And Louis, oh my god, look at the stone mine that he snuck out to on the left-hand side. He's getting gold now. He's getting knights out.
Okay, that's fantastic. I thought he was going to take the safe corner. He took the bigger risk, though. I don't think he actually scouted the safer gold in the far back corner, but it does mean knights are now in the Ray in a game where DeMu is at least going to add in some spearmen, but that's only because he's seeing horsemen. He may just feel like he only needs 1 or 2 extra spears, because if you're DeMu, you're like, okay, horsemen, basically 1-to-1 spear counters. You're not going to need that many, right? That might be your critical blunder. If Louis is able to hide this knight detail for, say, 3-4 knights, he can take a really convincing fight here.
Yeah, I mean, getting a couple of knights out, especially against this group, like solely consisting of archers for them right now. The archers are great inside of your base because you're just able to run back to your TC with the faster movement speed. But now that Louis has kept DeMu inside of his base, now he can just regroup and then take down the outpost.
And can we check that outpost vision? Because it's very important that he knows knights are coming. I think he might just be, yeah. So if he's paying attention, he will see it straight away, especially with the way that Louis is literally just boldly rallying out. So outpost's going to go down, but it's not for nothing, right? DeMu got some critical info. One problem, though, is that spearman count you're seeing, basically all of it is here. So if this turns into a quick chase across the map, it looks like DeMu is playing a very dangerous game of chicken here, because by the way he's macroing, we might actually be looking at a castle age. No, okay, thank God. Whew. Dude, I was
we're
going to have a
getting some
heart
Keshik's
attack
in.
there.
Yeah, Keshik's definitely the right play here. Also has enough stone almost in order to go for a double production batch on them. And double produced Keshiks just give you so much value in immediately, like getting them in a batch of 2. And there aren't that many spears remaining for Louis as well. So having 4 Keshiks here against 2 knights and 2 horsemen definitely doesn't feel bad.
Does when you add in John, though, right? Like, that's always the awkward factor here, is you're going to get them close to dying. That Divine Restoration is going to have high value, so very important that DeMu keeps adding in spears. I find that's always the annoyance when you're up against Jeanne d'Arc. You basically need the kill secure strike, right? The bonus damage is important because the reason why we see civs like Jeanne d'Arc build a lot of men at arms compared to their standard French civ is these are units that can get incredibly low on HP and then get a huge booster to their health ball, right? Because, of course, it's based on missing health, how much you get back from Divine Restoration.
Yeah, Louis now killing the ball with Jean. He's going to be able to secure him a little bit of food out there. And look at that second TC coming out now for him.
Is he going to hang here? Oh, I think he's going to hang here because he's more focused on XP. That's unfortunate. I've noticed a few players actually optimizing to have Jean there when the TCs are being built, because then you basically boost the build speed of all the villages nearby, right? You get kind of like a mini China effect.
Yeah, on a TC, that means like you're essentially getting an additional free villager with the additional 20 seconds.
And it's also the security of it getting up so much quicker, especially in a game against a civ like the Mongols, who are going to be spamming Keshiks. You don't want to be vulnerable for long. But credit to him, Louis, because he's got cavalry still on his opponent's side of the map, he's in a position where he doesn't have to freak out and rush more villages out to get this up than is necessary. Still
Keshic numbers are starting to build.
Yeah, also, this is interesting actually to me. Like, Louis didn't skip a beat here. I'm impressed by the fact he managed to optimize for blacksmith timings compared to the Mongols here. And it's kind of surprising still that DeMu didn't try to find an edge there with that window he had. I guess it's because usually you don't feel good about getting skilled arrow until you've got like 12 to 15 archers.
I think it was also the food situation for DeMu, right? Like he needed to invest 450 wood there into some pastures just because he didn't have any more sheep remaining for him. And now Louis, he's really not in a bad position. Going to be walling off the right-hand side there of the map as well. He's going to have some very, very safe food access up there.
Could even wall between the cliffside and the small tree line, just around the sacred site, right? Just creates kind of this funnel pushing your opponent deeper into your territory. So villagers getting up right now. Knights are at least being chased away. DeMu still only at 3 Keshiks isn't exactly what I'd deem spooky. And the unfortunate reality is, like, when you compare these two sides now, DeMu is scaling for a big fight. He's looking for it fast. Meanwhile, Louis, he chose greed, right? And I still think that greed may not have even been scouted.
Yeah, not at all. I mean, Louis, he's been keeping DeMu inside of his base for a long, long time now. DeMu, he hasn't even scouted behind the base of Louis at all so far, so doesn't really know what's going on there. I don't think he spawned out the mining camp there on the stone. For the longest time, the Khan actually has been in the base of DeMu, so definitely not a lot of scouting that has been going on there.
You know what I think happened here? I think DeMu, with that push out on the north side, he doesn't know it's a TC, right? But if you're against Jean and you see that there's an army out on the flank for no reason, what's your thought? It's, oh, they're playing pocket eco, right? They've got a ball and they've probably got an outpost there. So DeMu, the risk he now runs is he might send in like 1 or 2 Keshiks to punish that and discover the hard way that it's a strong point defense that he can't break.
That Falcon, I don't think was in range of the stone, right? The one that DeMu just sent out with the Khan. Yeah, nah, nope. he doesn't see. He doesn't see the.
It sees the stone. It just sees the wrong stone. Come on, dude, that's so painful. I don't want to like be one of the depressing guys. Like, everything that's gone wrong with this game is the Khan's fault, but it kind of is, isn't it? Right? From the scouting rotation to the details he's not finding. That really
don't suggest that they should add additional line of sight to Falcon or like.
No. I'm not doing. I'm suggesting that this Khan's people should turn on him, right? Because he's clearly not the reincarnation of Genghis. So,
yeah, he's got some shady business in mind there. But DeMu does have a good amount of military. Louis is pushing across, and I think right now at this point in time, Louis, he's actually pushing across when he's at his weakest when it comes transition-wise. He just invested 750 resources into that second TC. And now DeMu knows, and there's some villagers that are going to be picked off here now.
There's no wheelbarrow. There is legit no wheelbarrow. Louis hadn't got it yet. He was now pumping it. So we'll definitely lose some eco underneath the TC here. He can afford to, though, with his lead. What he needs to do now is return fire. But we're seeing hesitation. Louis, instead of going into the Mongol base, coming back.
Oh, he's playing around a little bit with the shuffling in the garrison. Still gonna lose a couple of workers here. He's pulling all of his military back now.
Okay, this is actually really good micro from Louis. He's still losing eco, sure, but like compared to what he should have lost here, he's keeping surplus villagers alive.
And now he has Wheelbarrow. Now he can run a little bit better. Kando is going down, and now DeMu's blind. He's gonna lose the Keshiks here.
They're way too low. The archers should be able to tickle them down to the point that they basically won't even get a charge in when the next fight happens. So DeMu, the only thing you can really fight at this point with those two guys is going to be villagers. And there's not many easy targets, right? Like outside these wall builders, as we just saw the TC, anything you're going to try to take away from Louis has some layer of protection.
Did Louis pull off gold completely? Okay, he's now going all the way.
He was gold on the second TC, right?
Oh, those were the builders that built the wall there.
Yeah. So I think he was gathering on the second TC. That's why his gold went full idled, is he didn't want to do it at home, as that was where all of his wood was gathering. So we probably see him switch back on soon. Archer Mass is looking really impressive, actually. Got to give it to him. He's closed the gap quickly on this. And DeMu, if I'm not mistaken, this time I think he is actually considering the Castle Age maneuver.
Yeah, look at this base as well. Like, he's got his food transition in pretty much full already done. Has a lot of pastures under his base, so food income should be secured for DeMu safely in his base. And Louis, he's still out on the map. Yeah, but he's fully walled as well.
Yeah, but what's coming next is a very powerful point in the game for Mongols with this strategy. It's why I actually think Silver Tree is overrated, and Deerstone, I'm glad to see it getting more use. The double aura, mobile across the map, is what you need to contest a mere babyish level 2 Jean. And you'll still have, like, what, a minute and a half, 2 minutes to contest. Because if we think about it, Louis didn't really get much XP out of this early game. He didn't find the fights he was looking for.
Yeah, so probably still gonna be a little bit until it goes
God,
up.
what?
The step down, not curl tie. Okay. So this is a very old school type build, I want to say. So we might be seeing a market coming out from DeMu now, get the additional gold and just trade it out for additional resources.
I'm a little bit surprised. I guess maybe it's the risk, but then again, like I think with the way you have to play gold on this map anyway, you're going to have a lot of outposts on that south side. So I'm curious what DeMu's thought process is behind this over Kurotai. Maybe he's just seeing Kurotai as too much of a risk, right? He understands this game's going to go a bit later. By going for the step readout, he's able to inflate to that point faster. I think the really big telling tale will be if DeMu chooses to go for, say, a TC as well. If he does that, then we have the full read of what's happening here. He's trying to turn this into a macro game instead of an all-in timing that could actually give Jean d'Arc that level 3.
Yeah, the step readout definitely allows you to go for that. I'm still not quite sure if I like this, because Louis, he's also very close now to aging up. He's on 2 TC, 13 villagers ahead at this point in time. Now, sure, the step readout is going to give DeMu a lot of additional resource. Basically, if he puts like 10 villagers on gold, he's going to be getting 15 villagers worth out there in terms of resources. Yeah, he's going to be getting a lot of gold here now. And gold, especially at this point in the game, is going to be very important for him. Oh, Little Ray notices immediately.
Still, right now, this step readout isn't working. Like, it's very important, actually, that he's not getting any value out of it.
Very annoying.
And I'm wondering if that was maybe part of the process. Is like he didn't feel like he needed a better fight straight away because he understood Louis was playing a macro game. But I think it is going to necessarily, like, potentially leave him a lot weaker as this game goes on now. Guildhall's coming on the other side. Louis already walled himself in. He already has a 15 eco lead. At best, the step readout is offsetting the difference between you.
Yeah, Guildhall, though, he's going to be coming in for Louis, and that's an additional kind of step towards the macro game for Louis. So he's not going to be committing into that all-in with the Royal Institute with those stronger knights. Veterancy has come in the meantime for all of the units from DeMu. Doesn't have +2 pierce damage yet, though.
No, and we're seeing a switch up. Louis now switching over into Arbitrary, anticipating more heavily armored units. Means DeMu's comp's going to fare a little bit better in the next engagement, right? It's mainly just archer spears, and I wouldn't be surprised if we're going to be looking at maybe improved siege engineering soon. That would be a sick read, considering both players have boomed into a lot of ranged units.
No veterancy on the archers yet for Louis. Still roughly 40 seconds to go. Louis posturing a little bit here with the units, making DeMu hesitate, and this could actually buy him enough time to be able to get those veterancy upgrades. And one important thing to note behind this is that not only is Louis getting veterancy, he's also getting the +2 damage upgrade on his archers. So once veterancy comes in, Louis' archers are actually going to be stronger than DeMu's archers are right now.
And it's important for this dive that's about to happen underneath the TC. The Keshiks are definitely annoying here, but now they don't have the +2 ranged armor. so they're going to take more damage just diving around this area. Looks like it's going to be a shift through the gates, and the Knights are quick to respond. You may notice that DeMu did not send the Archer Mass in. Smart cookie choice there. That would have probably led to a complete wipe of the army and loss of map control. Well, if there's one thing you don't want to be doing in any game as the Mongols, it's defending.
Yeah. I would really like to see some forward outposts coming out here from DeMu. He's also out on map now with double, what are they called? Just priests, I guess, for Mongols. Priests on the map.
Yeah,
Shaman Drew, it's shamans.
Yeah.
Only civilization that gets shamans, I think.
And then you got made like the weird like throat noise. Got throat sound.
Yeah. Oh, that hurts a lot though. Losing like, what was it, 5 villagers there for DeMu?
I thought you meant
gold?
throat singing. Yeah, no, it's a pretty good hit. Like this was the concern that I had. Is like anytime I see someone do step readout, they always react like this. It's like 3 outposts per gold vein. Doesn't feel like a great deal considering like your opponent still has other options to strike you with.
Yeah.
Relics are at least being gapped. Yeah.
It's something. Oh, the Knights, so it's too little Keshiks here to like chase this.
I don't think he even has the step lances, right? So he doesn't have the extra attack speed. Like it's pretty pricey to get when you have so few Keshiks. And right now they're looking more like Kekiks. They're just getting wiped out. Crossbow mass. Also, sending over a few, maybe a little bit of a blunder here. DeMu, usually you need a few more to guarantee this. Like even though he'll eventually scare them away, I'd argue it wasn't a great exchange for DeMu.
Yeah, DeMu is at least getting the majority of the relics here, 3-2. Kind of nice that Louis actually managed to get 1 relic here at all. On map, right now he's 25 villagers ahead. When I'm looking at the income as well, it's looking really good for him. Only thing that gives DeMu still a leg in this game, I would say, is that Louis at one point, he's going to have to make a farm transition.
Yeah.
And that's going to be a little bit difficult for him. Granted though, Jean, she is level 3 at this point in time, and Louis actually went for the cavalry choice of companions here, the ones that get bonus damage up against the crossbows.
Not only that, he's actually adding in horsemen actively, and here's another interesting detail. Ordnance Company is on the way. Can we check the siege workshops? Because Louis, I mean, he was kind of leading the charge on this. He was doing it before anyone else. His siege workshops being consecrated.
Right.
Yeah, this is such a big deal. It's like having the high armor effect of the Rus at a much earlier point in the game.
Yeah, that's gonna be really nice getting that early, and not early, but like the cheap siege in, especially since he's also like forced now into making anti-siege. We got 2 mangonels over on the side from DeMu now coming in, and he's gonna be pressuring the large gold and the second TC from Louis now, as well as where the landmark is, the guild hall.
And keep in mind that siege workshop, although consecrated, is basically half a map away, so it takes a long time to arrive here. Louis has to be careful about the way he approaches this fight. He needs to idle this out, delay it long enough that his anti-siege can get here. DeMu, for the time being, still has the force to keep on pushing it.
Some buildings getting torched down. It's a little bit of raid bounty there to make up for the villager deficit.
Speaking of
raids, still raids coming in.
The Knights. I mean, there's enough here to win this as well. Wow.
Some crossbows as well. More spearmen coming out. But yeah, enough Knights for sure. But there's also Springle in placement. But now big fight happening inside the base of Louis. Oh, Springle's already there. Time to take down.
I mean, they're going to get one more shot before going down. Attack speed arrow doesn't need to activate, but Divine Restoration essentially offsets that. Now you're in an awkward situation where you have to focus fire down Sean. Yes, he does die, but it gets enough time bought here that DeMu's army is going to be repelled.
Yeah, and now all the Pavis are coming in as well. +5 armor on those Arbaletrias, so now you have to be careful. If you suddenly start attacking one of these Arbaletrias, they're going to be doing little damage, and yeah, DeMu is going to have to fall back now.
Yeah, and this is kind of the worst situation, right? It's bad enough when you're building crossbows to match arbitrary. That feels like a losing battle. But the fact that we have those Jean Riders, the fact we have horseman spam coming in, it's an interesting choice made by Louis. There is a weakness to what he's doing here, and that is going to be the long-term food source. But because he's been overburdening the wood line, we're already seeing the first farm clusters coming in. So he will have the economy in the next 3 minutes to keep that horseman pump going.
Is he though? Like, I'm taking a look at his eco upgrades. Louis doesn't even have horticulture or double broadaxe. He's very, very major food like eco upgrades
wait, it's Jean as well.
Yeah, he's getting them. He could get them for really, really cheap. I'm not sure if it's just oversight if he thought he got them, but right now he doesn't. And that would make definitely gonna hurt. Look at the income that he has right now.
Oh, he's definitely got enough to get this. All right, this is a bold statement. This is also, I think, why Step Readout, another reason why it feels a little bit more wonky compared to Kurotai. when you build a step readout, it's obvious what you want to do, right? It's obvious what you target out and how much more gold matters to you. Look what he's denying with this keep play. He has a ball if he needs additional food, that's 2k food, and he has 12,000 gold he's now securing against an opponent who doesn't have trade, doesn't have second TC. He doesn't have this ability to pivot and react with trebuchet spams instantly.
Yeah. Also, something that I really don't like from them right now is he is now massing a lot of Kha'Zix. Louis already has Arbaletry.
Is he thinking raid, maybe? Like, I'm trying to go through DeMu's mentality. It might be that he's thinking, okay, like he was building knights, I need to mirror knights, and then I can still burn down these crappy wood walls and find a target, right? But like, I'm more worried about the direct engagement that you're going to get forced into by the time this Kha'Zix mass is ready.
I mean, looking at the income, DeMu still has a really, really good window right now. DeMu, he's looking at roughly, like, what is it, 3.2k income per minute right now. Louis, he's at roughly 2.2k income per minute right now. Granted, a lot of that is because he just idled a lot of villagers building that keep.
Yeah. And the farms, right? Like, if you think about it, he was idling, building farms, building keeps,
and
still
he
building additional farms. Exactly. So, like, if DeMu wants to do something, he needs to make a move in, like, the next minute and a half. Because afterwards, the fact that your opponent has 30 eco more than you will be real. It will be operational.
Yeah. Oh, he's using the keep to produce the unique units. No, it's a production build in KP. He's making units with it. Or at least he made one unit.
I mean, they're raiders. They're the raider you type, right? Like, I would never say do this with champions. Not just a lot of health, a lot of effective HP against defenses, right? Because they have, I think it's 3 or 4 extra armor than standard horsemen.
A lot. They have a lot of pierce armor.
Oh. Dive in, mate. Sean wants some XP. I actually love that Louis is using Jean as part of the raid force. That's not what we usually see. Most players keep Jean with the main army, but this is pretty smart, right? Like, main army is just guarding. You maybe find, what, 1 Kha'Zix kill every 2 minutes? This allows you to reach in and maybe find an exposed eco line, maybe find 10+ worker kills in less than half a minute.
I really don't like what DeMu is doing behind this. He pivoted not just into double markets, but also a second TC. He is giving Louis that timing window that he needs, and now Louis is actually walling in the markets that he just built.
He just needs to wrap it north here, right? Drag him away so the Kha'Zix can't actually close on this quick enough. This wall likely to go up, but DeMu, he's game sense on point here. I think he actually did scout the villages with the outpost barely. So we'll get through as the wall is built. Yep, he saw him. So Eco is going to be hit a little bit. It's going to be a pullback for Louis, but now Imperial Age is on the way. And now we reach that stage where DeMu doesn't have a clean answer.
It's going up in the front of the base from DeMu. I think he even scouts that. I think he has an outpost somewhat nearby. But yeah, the issue is that now it's also... Oh, it's barely out of vision. But yeah, another issue is that now DeMu, it's going to be even harder to take down the keep because it gets an additional emplacement.
It's going to raid continuously. Has shut down like half the villagers here died, so not too bad. I love the fact that Louis literally deletes the mining camp. He's like, whoa, why have I built extra bounty here? Let's get rid of that. So we'll just keep the mining. He does lose a bit of eco, but it's still a substantial lead. And now an age ahead as well on the farms. Like, DeMu has to somehow find a way to hoard 3,600 resources while still winning fights against a unit comp that, I want to say, basically counters him. The Arbitrary more or less can deal with everything at this stage of the game.
Yeah, and behind that, not only did he just reach Imperial Age, he also has a lot of resources in the bank to immediately get upgrades with. Important upgrades that's going to mean that the next fight very likely is also going to go in Louis' favor when it comes to like trading out units. And I mean, DeMu, 20 villagers behind. He did just get a lot of villager kills in. Oh no, he cannot fight the front. He can definitely not fight the front. As soon as he sees that Red Palace, he knows, okay, that is not a fight that he can take under any circumstance. God. And roller shutting triggers is coming in immediately as well.
Which feels terrible when you're playing Mongols because you're building traction trebuchet. John, front lining, regretting it instantly, will pull away just in the nick of time here. It's towards the Red Palace. Yeah, and this is the point where you should be able to keep fighting. Has at least sniped John out. DeMu, I'd be surprised if he continues this dive.
Yeah, he went a little bit too far. I think the Sprinkle goes up. Goodbye, Sprinkle.
What a reasonable landmark.
Yeah, it's totally fine. I don't see any issues there.
Well, I think the issue is more an aesthetical problem, right? Like, you just need to make sure that it's doing the right thing. Like, I don't understand why it doesn't shoot lasers.
Yeah, it needs to be appropriate to the amount of damage that's coming out.
Yeah, they don't understand. And then what you could have is, like, when your Khan comes nearby, he just, like, screams, "That's not a moon!" Right? And then just explosions go off. It's perfect.
Petition to replace the arbalest, like the arbalest shots from the Red Palace with the great bombard shots from the emplacements from the Ottomans.
Could you imagine it just shooting a million balls?
Would be appropriate, but now Siege is getting sniped out, and yeah, with those roll shot triggers, I mean,
Wait,
not only are the Springles going to be great at taking down like the Siege, but also they're able to two-shot the villagers from a long range.
And he didn't realize it straight away. The fact he still lost that many villagers with Yam shows you just how late of a reaction that was. That's painful. And now we've got an outpost crawl coming in because you heard your comment about great bombards. He can't quite tick that box, but he has got little mini bombards if you put in those outposts.
Yeah. I feel like at this point, it would take a miracle for DeMu to come back into this game. Income pretty much even, if not ahead for Louis. And Louis an age ahead. Upgrades are coming in. And DeMu, he just doesn't have a window of opportunity, really, to go up to the Imperial Age.
No, and let's be real, Income is fully ahead, right? Louis heard you, clearly. He went for the eco upgrades. Like, all of them are pip 2 now. So, only thing that he doesn't have, of course, is melee defense, because let's be totally honest, when is DeMu even reaching you with this army? It just feels like it's a Doomstack coming away. Like, you have military blob advantage, but the quality with Crossbow Stirrup down the way cannot be denied. These Arbitrary really are the late game bloomer for Jeanne d'Arc.
Yeah, at this point, the Horsemen as well, having so much additional Pierce armor. Like, usually the crossbows still do a lot of damage through the armor from the Horsemen. At this point in time, though, it's reduced significantly with the lead and the additional +1 Pierce armor.
And this is before Incendiary. Yeah, this is before Incendiary comes in.
Look at the Lippers under TC.
GG,
Yeah.
there it is. Game number 2. Louis showing you exactly why he's one of the most fearsome Jeanne d'Arcers in the game. The question now becomes, who's going to get the Jeanne d'Arc maneuver in game number 3?
Yeah, this is definitely getting really, really interesting now. Not only is this game likely deciding whether or not DeMu can even make it into the playoffs at all, but we're also getting to a game number 3. And for Louis, especially against, like, at the same time, this is also really important for Louis, because if he keeps winning his sets, and then if he wins the set against Marilot, he can be seed number 1 for his group. He can make it immediately into the semis in the playoffs.
Yeah, top 4, which would be his best performance in competitive AoE 4, just like that, right? Out of a group stage, which is kind of wild when you say it out loud like that. As it stands, Marine Lord, of course, hasn't dropped a single series, so it will be a win required to guarantee that. Like, nothing less for Louis if he wants to top his group. But right now, DeMu still on the edge of his seat trying to hold on. We have to remember that as it stands, he's played the same number of series as Vortex, but he is 1 extra loss on the board overall, right? So, like, there's an element of Vortex needing to lose later on today, but there's also an element of him obviously needing to win both of these sets. And we have to see if we can do that. Game number 3. We get deeper in this draft, and this is where we get to kind of, like, get a feel of who actually won in the draft. Dry Arabia to round us out, and dude, you can't deny it. Louis won this draft.
Yeah, 100%. Like, getting Japan against Delhi. Japan, probably one of the best civilizations when it comes to playing against Delhi. Main reason is, not only do you have access to some of the most safe food economy long-term throughout the game, but also, like, this really long, drawn-out feudal age game that Delhi so loves. There's one civilization that can get all the way up to plus 75% additional income on their farms in theory, Dark Age even.
Yeah, technically, yes. If we somehow end up in a game with 60+ spears. The wilder part to me is actually, like, well, we've got a second to break down this draft. We've kind of choice made here, right? Like, Louis, he bans out the Mongols, obviously, has them banned away from him, rather, because DeMu wants them. But what I've noticed is, like, if you want to open Delhi, the most efficient way to draft is with an early Japanese ban. This is something that the Spanish bros have been fantastic at. They especially do it when they've got a water map in, like, Holy Island, right? Because you secure Delhi for, say, a Dry Arabia, and then you have Japan, which I think is a top 2, bare minimum top 3 civ on Holy Island. The crazy part is it's almost like it's a forgotten detail, just how effective Japanese can be up against the Delhi. Like, I'm not exaggerating. I think it's like a 65%, 70% win rate in favor of Japan in this matchup.
I'm not quite sure if it's that drastic, but yeah, it's definitely in favor of Japan. We're going to be very interesting to see, like, how DeMu is going to play this now, knowing that this is not a matchup in where he's in favor. And here we go. Game number 3, decider game, match point between DeMu and Louis.
I just double checked it, my friend. It is currently a 67% win rate for the Japanese on the most recent patch. Quite brutal. Previous patch was 54%. If you remember, that was when people were figuring out Japan. They hadn't quite worked out how to use it. Now these Castle Age builds are clean, and it's not just the Castle Age that DeMu has to worry about. If there's one player that can overcome this difficult statistic, it is DeMu, because I've seen one way out of this problem, and it's the fast castle build for the Delhi. So far, DeMu is the only person I have seen successfully execute that build in this matchup.
I'm looking at this map right now, and one thing that stands out to me is we got one of those generations on Dry Arabia where there's a crater on the map. And whenever there are these kind of craters, map generation starts getting weird. And we have one sacred site that is very, very far in the corner there.
Hey, but you got too close together, you know, just to sandwich it, feel good. It is a bit weird when this happens. And not just that, like, it can actually have a kind of odd effect on some of the surrounding resources. Like, for example,
the large goals, they're also pretty close to each other.
Yep. Yeah, there's nothing in the north side. Like, basically, you can more or less just chop that off the map. More or less what you need is 2/3 lower side of the map, right? Like, pretty much everything to be contested. Another thing that's interesting in this spawn, that double forward gold is kind of annoying for Louis. He's going to have to set up outposts, but let's be real. Like, out of all the civs in the game, which one can more comfortably set up outposts to guard their fast castle build? I can't think of a better civ than the Japanese right now.
Yeah, getting the free stone from the gold, giving you access immediately to those emplacements. Now, usually you still want to somewhat, like, that stone passively to upgrade your main TC, go to Daimyo, because it gives you a really great timing with the Bannerman. If you need to, then you can always just use the stone instead for some emplacements there. Kurastahos, no surprise coming in here for Louis. Small surprise that he's not also using it as like a lumber camp here as well in the situation. He's putting it on the other side of his base.
Yeah, that's funky. I guess he doesn't want to worry about raids coming in, but realistically, like, your gold's on the right side, you're placing this on the left. You're going to have to set up more outposts. You're not fully secure in this area unless you want to go out and wall the north, which is a possibility. One thing that's very interesting about this matchup is you'd think that the reason Delhi just lose is because Japan fast castles, but it's not, right? Like, the way Japanese can play feudal long-term beats the Delhi, and it all comes down to things like that Daimyo mentioned with the Bannerman effect. The extra melee tech as well is phenomenal for them, and because they're getting stone passively, they partially pay for those extra upgrades without having to put more effort in.
I'm not a big fan of this Kurastahos just because the farms, they spawn, I think it was counterclockwise. Yeah, counterclockwise from the left-hand side. So if he went for it on the other side of the sea, the first farm that would spawn would immediately be really safe.
So it starts at 9 o'clock and then it's clockwise. So
it is
left,
clockwise. Okay, so it's gonna...
Yeah. So it's like, it's one of those awkward things where, I think I said this before, there's some landmarks in the game where genuinely the map position you start in makes it easier or harder to play. Madras is a perfect example of that, right? Like, with the way the berries spawn. Kurastahos is the exact same way. Like, if you are unfortunate enough that you have to go to Kurastahos on, say, the left side of your base, but your opponent's to the left of you, you're in trouble, right? Especially if that player's a Mongol on the other side, which is why, like, Mongols has proven to be one of the most frustrating matchups for Japan on both land and sea. But
speaking of frustration, I think Louis has gotten a really good sheep game here, and once again, I think he already dropped off once.
Yeah, and that's kind of crazy, right? Can we check DeMu's scouting rotation? I think, no, he went over to berries. So no, okay. Because DeMu should not be behind on sheep in this matchup, because Delhi, they go berries, right? So they don't actually have to come home.
He is still behind.
Oof. Wow. So I guess, did Louis at least check the bottom corner so they split it a bit more, or is there more? Okay, so Louis can actually still get more sheep here. The bottom corner should probably have 4 more sheep in it.
Oh,
that's rough. Let's have a look. Maybe
There's
we
nothing.
lucked out. A little bit higher because, yep, there's 2
one,
there.
2.
And check the right side. There might be 2 more.
1.
Okay, so 3 extra sheep.
Yeah.
That's tough. Against the Japanese, it means they're going to remain condensed. We're also seeing a racks added in early. Makes a lot of sense. There's 2 ways you either go with the Japanese here. You either lean racks or you lead stables, typically. It sounds weird to build stables, horsemen into Ghazi, but the funny part is if you are rushing towards that daimyo, the horsemen will win.
Yeah. The wall of fear is also huge for Louis. You have berries in the back, you have the woodlines, you have a back gold as well. Secure the relic immediately. Double stone, just in case you need to rush up a Shogunate castle. Very unlikely, but if you need to,
He's
you do
gathering
have
there.
that option.
He's actually actively gathering stones, so we're probably going to see Daimyo rush to get access to the bannerman. It's weird to see him doing this, though, for the Raps play. I don't rate Daimyo well for Katana bannerman. It's much more high value for the other two choices at this stage, anyway.
Yeah, the Uma Bannerman, like, it's better than a knight. 230 health. Other than that, same stats as a knight.
And deflective armor. Like, you have to remember, deflective armor at the early stage, like, it's kind of crazy. Imagine if you're playing French and your first knight could, like, deflect a shot every 15 seconds.
Yeah.
Right? That sounds wild.
There have been games that I've won with basically only a single Uma Bannerman deciding the game, just getting, like, free kills early on in the game with the deflective armor. It lasts for so long.
I think the most impressive execution of that build I've seen is like Anatan when he was innovating the Daimyo opening, and then you went either Fast Castle or 2TC, because you build Uma Bannerman, and if you're being logical about this, on the other side, your choice is you have to build spears, right? As soon as you've built spears, they've gone Castle Age and built Onabagisha, or they've followed up with Yumi, and they're just a step ahead. It's like such a brutal situation to find yourself in.
Yeah. DeMu, he's still making a lot of Gazi Raiders, but Louis also just keeps on pumping out those spearmen. Benefit for DeMu is at least he can heal. Yeah, benefit for DeMu at least is that he can heal his Gazi Raiders up. This should still lead to yeah, but if you're on the sacred sites, right, and you just have the Gazi Raiders there.
I was gonna say, like, but you never reach a point where you're dragging the skulls of your main army. Not usually with the Tower Victory build, right? Like, that's the tough part. It's like, I'd say the effective firepower of healing you get there is like maybe 2 Gazi, because you'll have stationary scholars occasionally.
What's the scholar doing there? It's still like half a minute left until Sanctity finishes.
Oh, dude, he selected all army. Right?
Wait, the scholar? No, the scholars don't count to armor. That's only warrior monks and dervishes, I think.
Okay, so maybe he just panicked from that many spears, I guess. Like, I mean, Gazi, they're good, but in this type of fight, it feels like you're going to lose 3 or 4, which is just a terrible loss of momentum as the Delhi. So I guess he's just idling, which is rough because Louis is getting away with this, right? Those are Dark Age spears. That was the time to probably fight that.
They weren't hardened. Yeah, they definitely weren't hardened there.
I guess it's tricky because, like, you never know when Harden's coming through. You know that kind of feeling when you're in the dark, right? It's almost like you're being circled by sharks.
Yeah, it's such a quick upgrade to get.
Amazing.
Very interesting that we had Pierce armor before Hardened Spearman.
Yeah, because
and now we're getting Otabagashas?
Because he expected, like, archers earlier, right? Because it was quite delayed on DeMu. He went for that classic Gazi build. Dude, this is such an odd build from Louis. I'm just going to call it what it is. Spearman into...
It's good.
Wait, but he cancelled the Onabagisha but built the Katana Bannerman. That's the part that's kind of weird to me, right? Like, Horseman with Uma Bannerman is crazy.
I still like the overall macro play of, like, going for that buff up on your free farms, basically, very early on with the Daimyo. And, like, still gathering stone just with a couple of villagers passively. So that, like, safely, but, like, slowly but surely, you're gonna be getting up to that point where you then can, like, upgrade this even further, and then you're at, like, plus 50% income from your farms, and that's where it just gets out of control.
And I think that's why they chose the Katana Bannerman over the Uma Bannerman. Uma Bannerman is me come out and fight. Katana Bannerman is turtle and make you come in, right? So he believes he's going to get enough stone together to get his hands on that second level, and then you have Bannerman aura for the entire army, right? At that stage, you also have a big enough army that the Bannerman aura is truly felt.
I want to draw a quick comparison here. The Delhi get plus 33% like faster gathered food from the berries.
It's 5, right?
You get 30, I think it was 33. At the same time, Japanese, as soon as you get to the second upgrade on your TC, you're getting plus 50%.
Oh, no. There's an even funner comparison, right? Oh, I got 2 levels of wheelbarrow, which I want to do anyway. I now gather basically almost 20% quicker on berries than you do, right? Which is just kind of bonkers when you think about it. And it's also, compared to the Delhi, where they're like, oh, I have to drop a mill in each of these. You're like, well, I need to build more houses anyway, so I'm just going to walk around dropping them around the berries. It's insanely powerful. And he also still has the bat berries, which I believe he just set a house up for. So we'll be seeing a lot more food surging in the coming minutes. And if we can just confirm, I'm pretty sure it should be level 2 Kawada plus Takazaiku by now for the Japanese. Like, you don't slow down there.
Right there on the blacksmith upgrades for the melee. Yeah, not only do we have the plus 2
no, check the farmhouse, Vodka. Farmhouse. The house. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. A plus 50%. get it right there from the berries. And the villagers are also now going to be as quick as if they had the normal wheelbarrow.
Now, we are getting the Geisha added in. So I'm starting to think the Spearman was a feign to try and get DeMu off of Ghazi, which is really smart, because actually I think the best comp you can run in field late with the Japanese is Onobagisha Horseman. It's so insanely fast, and it counters everything between them.
I think DeMu, though, he has such a great number right now when it comes to archers. The one thing that I'm a little bit confused by is that he went for the Pierce Armor upgrade before the Pierce Damage upgrade against the Japanese, where they really rarely go for the Yumi archers.
But if they do, Crackedy, if
they do, if only. That's the wrong timeline, though. We're not in that timeline.
No, we'd have to look for these games later. He might do that. The interesting part as well is that DeMu only went for one Blacksmiths being up against the Japanese. I wonder if he didn't think this was going to be a long feudal. Yeah, but if he macros here, I think like you lose, right? Like
he's he's going up to like he's saving up more resources than you would usually do as a Delhi, right? Here at this point in time.
But I'm saying you can't save up for this because like the reason this build that DeMu does is working most of the time up against Japanese players more so than anyone else is because he identifies the point where they're going to stop doing this, where they're going to stop investing and tech up as well, and that's why his tech up plan is so strong. But this has already been a very different game, right? Because he did go TOV, and now the backstab comes in. Ghazi caught on their own. It's not just the Spearman, it's the Onobagisha that slaps so hard here. We also have to remember that DeMu does not have melee tech level 1, meaning these Onobagisha are beasts unleashed.
And at the same time, without the +1 pierce damage on the archers, it's also going to take a long time to get rid of the horsemen as well. Like if the horsemen are probably going to be the first target just because they move quicker.
Yeah.
And Louis managed to decap every single sacred site.
That is actually impressive. I mean, it's the mixture of Horseman and Bagisha, right? Like, you can split and you can contest. The problem DeMu now has is, like, if he's up against Onobagisha and Horseman, his comp doesn't work because Archers are the slowest thing there, and they can't mirror this movement up and down. Oh, dude, he's doing it now.
Louis. Yeah, now Louis is the one
so
that's
crafty,
going up.
He's so incredibly crafty. Like, he's played this longer than most Japanese players would, and DeMu got baited in, right? And we have to remember this was a TOV build, so the likelihood that DeMu wanted a fast castle was low anyway, so it was a great read by him. But at the same time, the same issue that has brought down many a Delhi player now faces him. He's got a big army, but he's about to face a heavily armored threat. Louis has triggered the floating gate.
Yeah, floating gate. And the most insane part here is he's got it right next to his production buildings. 5 barracks by now, by the way. If he puts the first, if he puts the first Yorishiro inside one of those barracks, the upgrades, they're going to be coming in so quick.
No, don't talk that dirty to me. I'm wondering actually if it is going to be that other Mountain Samurai. Okay, no, dude, it's going to be, it's just Samurai. It's just raw Samurai. He's already started queuing them.
Work. It's going to work. The normal Samurai, they already do so well there with the deflective armor in these mass fights. Oh my god.
Louis is about to just sound like Homer Simpson here. He's like, need more food. I mean, that's the only thing holding him back right now. Like, you can prep this army. It's kind of like when you remember when HRE players in this matchup used to spam men-at-arms before they teched and then beat you. It's kind of a similar idea, only it wasn't about the bulky boys, right? It was about the ladies. These Onobagisha have been the one thing that DeMu just can't answer for. Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, he has 50 archers out, though. He has to move in. And, oh, his army's in position. Maybe he gets the timing in. Maybe he gets the timing in. This is going to be so crucial.
Dude, that is so greedy. That is so insanely greedy.
That is not good. He's going to miss out on the timing. DeMu might actually get him here.
I mean, I thought it was going to be Siege Workshop, maybe try and set up for that, but no, instead it's going to be slow upgrades. He's going to have to wait this out. Outpost is being assaulted. 5 villagers waiting inside. And Samurai not upgraded, Onobagisha not upgraded. You're going to have to forfeit this position. You have got, what, stone behind you, you've got gold behind you, so you don't die by this. It's fine. You need to keep every unit alive, because right now, DeMu has a phenomenal double up in the military department. He's starting to save up towards castle, so maybe we're going to see him make that play, but he doesn't want any of these units. Their goal is to do as much damage as possible while he macros up at home.
Yeah, behind this, getting very close now to his own age up. Sacred Site, he's got all the Sacred Sites back up right now in this timing as well. House of Learning coming, 26 villagers. It's going to be coming in really, really quickly, and DeMu, he can just kite away with the archers, right? The Onobagisha, they could never catch up to them.
And look at the house situation. Louis gonna have to spam more wood into that right now, because otherwise he's gonna be pop locked here. Like, this is the issue when you play circling Japanese, which is what he's kind of aiming towards, right? With a switch over to a bit more quality. It's all about mass that you won't be able to reach. So has to go for the clash. Archers start stepping away from this.
The horsemen go down so quickly to these archers.
They're not upgraded. They're not even being upgraded at all, right? Like, they're just a throwaway uniform. Onabagisha have been upgraded, but that samurai count is baby level. Doesn't really have the punch behind it.
Can jump on that, in theory.
They're a bit hesitant right now. He's going to keep backing up. I mean, you have to be content with this, right? Castle Age is in. You've got 3 sacred sites. You're switching into crossbows as soon as your opponent is beginning samurai. And we have to be really cognitive of Louis' economical state here. He doesn't have a raw eco lead. He doesn't have a great farm cluster that's going to give him 2,000 food a minute. We're not at spam point yet. We're very much at the fragility stage of this comp to the Japanese.
Coming in. Louis' attention is getting split now. Archer still hiding back.
Maybe if he moves north side with Onabagisha, he could find the eco, right? Like, you can't fight these archers right now. You don't have the mass. But what you do have is the knowledge that Delhi players will always play flanks for resources.
And he's moving towards that. Towards the landmark where the villagers are.
They're chasing buildings right now. They know that it's in the area. So if you go north of this, like the Onabagisha were circling, but Louis not quite able to find the target.
He's stabilizing now. The timing disappears for Louis like that.
I'm a little bit shocked.
DeMu, he's getting 2 relics in. Even though Louis has been so quick with the H-up, DeMu is the one that's probably getting the majority of the relics in here.
I'm a little bit shocked though. Like, the Onabagisha, it looked like Louis was going to split them and head north, which is the correct read, but instead he kind of hesitated. He just dangled around that tree line, wasted his time entirely. That could have been a critical denial point, right? Like, at this stage, DeMu likely is spending a lot of resources on lances and men-at-arms. That requires a lot of food. Even the crossbows, which is what he's doing in reality, cost a lot of food. But the fact that DeMu has been allowed to play this wide flank still, even though he's up against Onabagisha, is incredible and unexpected in this matchup.
40 seconds. 40 seconds left until all of these archers actually start to matter again. And now there's knights on the army as well. Only 7 spearmen from Louis.
I think this might just be over. Louis, at this stage, I mean, Onabagisha count is underwhelming. Incredibly underwhelming. Spearman count, as you said, is nothing. He has not got a rocket launcher, okay? We're not Team Fortress 2ing this yet. That's just a level 2 daimyo, so that won't defend him either. And behind this, right, the berries are more or less exhausted. I think he's on the final patch there. He's got limited gold in the back of his base. That's not going to last long. He has to come out. He doesn't have much time left.
And Louis, even though he just got the 2nd upgrade in for his TC, there's no economy around his TC working right now on the farms. He's not getting the benefit. Relic also getting denied there. DeMu, he's getting his 3rd relic and potentially has now the option with the 4th relic. Yoroshiro's actually getting put into the farmhouses here.
I'm shocked. I mean, I want you to really think about, like, the state of this economy right now. 1,500 gold, and he chose that forge first. Like, I think that is the conundrum for me. Could that have been enough of a difference? Would he still actually had enough food? I'm not sure, but the surge point, remember how long we were waiting for those upgrades when DeMu dove the front of the base? That could have been the difference. The other thing that I thought Louis might do there, when he began Castle Age, save some wood, build a siege workshop, because you're up against an army of archers. Imagine how different this game could have looked if he prioritized a mangonel on Tekka.
Yeah. All the barracks are working, but all the units that are coming out of them, I don't think they got what it takes.
I mean, he's got one shot at this, right? His opponent has walked in the back of his base. This is usually what we would call an overextension when we see that many Onabagisha. So it looks like a force that could actually wipe out the Vanguard and maybe reset this game, because DeMu, although he's got some advantages elsewhere, this is his military advantage. And right now, it doesn't have much torch power to get out.
Yeah. And DeMu, behind this though, DeMu has confirmed that the economy from Louis, it's not in his base. Louis, is he actually trying to trap him in there? The army? DeMu, he's A-moved. He A-clicked on the wall. He needs to, oh.
He's going to turn around now, but they're already in. Onabagisha able to get closer, and it's mincemeat time. Lance's horsemen hold it back for a little bit, but this just feels like a few too many ladies. Wall is going to go up. They are most definitely trapped here. The best thing that DeMu can do is trade as good as possible, but let's be totally real. 1.5 movement speed, this much melee, surely you should get mopped up.
The archers, they're actually doing so much damage here with the increased attack speed as well. They can actually kite so effectively here. So many shots in between movement. And the mass of Onabagisha, it's already down by 20. It was at like 45 earlier. Now it's at 28 and falling further. Meanwhile, DeMu, he's already massing his next army. He's got 28 crossbows somewhere.
But this is interesting. If it's crossbows and he stopped archer production, Ona Bagisha is still the answer, right? So what we have to keep an eye out for is whether Louis can get a little bit more food pumping, because this was expensive what he done here. This was a meat grinder machine that didn't actually tick its box in the end. He didn't get the full surround. DeMu has been absolutely on point with these starter steps back, reducing the losses to a more break-even point. And when you now look up at that military production, it's anything but break-even. 24 to 47. Map control has at least been stripped a little. Louis is now playing a dangerous game to try and get that food. He's walked far north of the boar. Unlikely that DeMu is going to notice this with his comp, but unfortunately at the same time, Louis now needs even more Ona Bagisha for what comes next. It's Lancer spam.
Louis, he's now on the deer. Deer, which are all forward. That part of the map is not walled, and the army from DeMu has a free pass to move over there.
Well, boar's at least going to be secure. He's actually playing bow flank boar. This is dangerous. The deer might reveal what you're doing, right? When your opponent sees deer down there against what you're doing, DeMu's thought is going to be, okay, if you're willing to take that risk when I'm outside your base for one thing, what's to stop you doing it for all the marbles here?
All it takes is one glance in the fog of war. DeMu, though, look at his food income.
Louis building horsemen.
Oddly enough. The farm transition is good, though, for DeMu. Like,
yeah,
that was quick.
I'm still perplexed by this detail, though. Louis is queuing horsemen. I guess it's because he just needs every building producing. Like, if you have the choice, you build Ona Bagisha here. Like, compared to horsemen, Ona Bagisha is better at cancelling out this entire army.
Wait, what?
Oh,
Louis food just surged to 28. 3.8k there for a minute.
Yeah, that's the boar. That is the boar effect. Double boar and deer.
That is a lot of food per minute right now that he's on, but the question is, like, still, are his units any good here in this situation? I still say no.
I mean, crossbows are underwhelming against Ona Bagisha, but we always have to remember this is TOV.
Yeah, that's what I want to say. They still benefit from that mass attack speed. Like, usually crossbows are bad because they attack slowly. These ones still attack 15% faster.
And here's another scary detail. There's Lancers, home blades already completed, so they slap a lot harder. Right? Like, you can't even think about going to Mountain Samurais. Not that you really want to. It's just too expensive. Stone hasn't been gathered to a point that we can get Shogun at Castle yet. Ona Bagisha are going to get cleared up the front side, and the cavalry are just wasting parts of the army's time. Always surviving and able to always come back around. Second wave of Ona Bagisha is going to march out, and this should be where the fight gets a little bit ugly, right? The crossbows in the formation means that DeMu, this star step is less effective than the last one we saw, because last time it was just archers. They move a lot quicker. So it's one of those awkward issues where it's extra micro, but worth it to split archers and crossbows depending on what's more important to keep alive.
The food income now, though. It's starting to get idled out for Louis as well. Villagers on the deer have to evacuate somewhere else, have to start gathering wood instead. Ooh, he's still with a lot of resource in the bank, but doesn't have wood to make any more horsemen, so it has to be more infantry.
Yeah, he's actually chopping wood out where he was gathering deer, but the boar has been located on the south side. It looks like those food sources are going to start to get denied. It's going to be a walk all the way home here, and I think he only took about maybe 1,200 food from that. So we're about to see a huge plummet in his income while he's playing a comp that requires nothing but non-stop food pump.
Now we're also seeing some mounted samurai in the queue. I'm not sure if DeMu might be overstepping here a little bit. That's a tier 2 TC from the Japanese at the end of the day.
No siege coming in on either side still. It's just a full melee mosh pit versus what's essentially primarily an arranged mosh pit. Knights, Lancers are still going to find their way on the flank. I mean, this is still turning into permanent damage, right? Eco going down here or there. We're now seeing DeMu being ahead by 12. No stone being gathered, of course. Right, we aren't looking at your traditional compound defender build. This is all about the home blades.
Yeah. I think DeMu, at this point in time, he might have this. There are no more natural resources out on the map, really, for Louis at this point in time, other than the boar in the top. Sacred Side victory is approaching. Louis has lost his main military force. The food income is plummeting. There's no farm economy set up for him right now. He would have to place a lot of farms right now, but his base is under constant siege here.
This is the negative of playing Japan, right? When this type of pressure keeps coming in, you can't set up farms. Those farms have to be set up essentially on your front line. You can see Louis having to make the hard choice to do it, but this is not going to be safe, right? And the reality is the way he set up his base, he can't rely on more safe farms behind. That's where he put all of his production buildings. He's blocked out there. So we're about to have a frontline eco situation in the game where you basically have no real front line. Louis down to just 9 military, 49 on the other side for DeMu, and a lot of premium mixed in there, right? Like, we're actually seeing him shift back to Ghazi, which is quite interesting here. Seems like he's trying to be a bit more optimal with the gold. I'm wondering if there's an idea to eventually go Imperial. I usually believe that's where we're heading, especially when we see 10+ scholars.
I mean, he's also just getting a ton of passive gold here right now, right? So he's got the 3 Sacred Side, he's getting 4 relics worth of gold as well. I think he probably at most has like 5, 6 villagers working on gold right now behind us all, and the rest is just all... It's just the passive gold that he's getting in right now. He's just spending it on the crossbows and not much else right now. Could be going into Mass Knights as well, just to close the guard. Because right now, Louis, he doesn't have anything against Knights.
Right now, Louis has no gold is the bigger problem I'm seeing. The board just expired north side, so that can fix his issue. You can set up a forge there, right? He hasn't been contested, but this has been shut down. This board activity is coming to an end. Seems like DeMu is getting a little bit bored of the state of this game. 62 now to 16. He's probably going to look to just bulk up to pop and then flood in, because let's be real, if both players somehow Louis, let's say, gets to 200 pop as well, his 200 pop is worse. Ona Big Isha are incredible units, but they are essentially cannon fodder.
Yeah, I think essentially they're kind of like, in theory, you would think of them as like half a population worth of unit. Oh, Louis, he's making farms that aren't under the TC. Yeah, this is when it's just desperation.
I mean, at what stage do you say, let's build a new TC, right? That's the grim reality, is then you're like, okay, now I've got to add in the Daimyo levels. You're like, good thing I got double stone spawn back, but that's still going to be a phenomenal amount of resources. We haven't even got the level 3, which is unfortunate. If he had Shogunate Castle here, I don't think DeMu would be attempting these dives. He'd have to switch to a slow siege. Instead, DeMu is getting ever closer to an Imperial Age. And you know, it's not often we say Delhi triggering Imperial Age makes opponents GG, but this might be that situation. I believe that is indeed the TC I asked for in an atrocious position.
Yeah, not a lot of farms that you can fit around that. Goldmine now on the outside of his base, also getting shut down. Louis, 20 villagers behind, more villagers getting sniped here. Idle time has been paused as well, and now DeMu once again hits the farm area that has to be evacuated once again. Louis down to 500-ish food per minute. Meanwhile, DeMu ahead by like 2,000 food per minute.
And that's permanent. He's up to, I think that is now 6 farm clusters in the back of his base. It's an insane amount of food at this stage. And also remember, he has got some extra techs in there, right? Because he went for the House of Learning. There's 1 or 2 that do benefit you on the eco side. Basically, like one of them being what I like to call like Wheelbarrow Plus. Just able to carry a lot more resources, which is quite valuable in farms, right? Because there's a lot of walking around.
Most importantly, I want to say, if he gets raid, he can just jump inside of the houses now as well.
Yep. Not that I think we're ever going to see Louis raid.
We won't, yeah. Not in this game, not anymore at this point in time.
Well, in fairness, he could raid, right? If DeMu decided to build farms in his opponent's base, there's an opportunity to raid.
DeMu could go for the House Tower Rush. Premier tournament House Tower Rush.
I mean, he has got a 24 eco lead. You know, you can afford a few people coming up to do that for you.
Oh, Osman, with those numbers, it's just not enough against the crossbows.
No. Right now, like, DeMu could just turn around. The spearman completely left. Oh, this is... I mean, Louis, he doesn't want to give it up, right? Like, it's kind of interesting. Louis is not at risk of elimination, but reminder, folks, the reason this series is so important to Louis is if he cannot win this series, his chances of being able to get first in the group look pretty rough. In fact, I think it becomes impossible, if I'm not mistaken, because he already dropped 1 series. Marine Lord has been flawless. He's won every single one of his series. So if Louis cannot win this game, he cannot guarantee first. Instead, it becomes this awkward competition between him and Puppy Paw, which would mean a difference between entering in the round of 6 and entering in the round of 8.
House of the Sultan is now going to be coming in, so we might be seeing a tap out as soon as that agent comes in. Those hand cannon elephants absolutely shred in the late game.
And Louis like, well, you know, if I have enough time, I can come. Yeah, but the amount of time it takes to come back, buddy, there's going to be like 5 of those hand cannoneer elephants waiting for you when you get there. So yeah, we mentioned it doesn't even happen before he taps out. GG gets called. DeMu keeps his hopes alive. He still needs another win to be in with a chance of making playoffs. But for now, the opportunity remains in his hands.